Hi everyone, this is Brian Hayes and welcome to episode 3 of the Win with Music podcast. Today we're passing on what I think might be the most powerful advice anyone can give to a creative musician, whether you're a hobbyist or a student, a beginner or a top-tier professional, and also to vocalists. Through my work hosting the Music Mind podcast, I've got to meet, play with and get to know more than 30 of the best musicians in the world, world-class musicians, full-time career professionals. There has been some continuity in the advice that these people have provided. Let's have a listen to Brett Garsed and what he thought was one of the most important things to pass on to the listeners of the podcast. Brett, for many years, was the lead guitar player in Australia's most highest profile band, the John Farnham Band, backing our most successful ever pop star. Let's have a listen to what Brett says after I mentioned an interview that I'd heard with the great Eric Clapton. One final comment on Clapton. I read a beautiful quote in an interview not that long ago from him that he said, "I never felt I was the best guitar player in the world. I felt that I was a god on guitar. I always felt I was the best Eric Clapton."
Of course, yeah.
Isn't that a wonderful way to look at it? It's the only way to look at it, you know.
It's the old be yourself, everybody else is taken.
Just be yourself. What a powerful piece of advice for musicians in a world where views and subscribers and likes and followers seems to be a constant challenge. Karin Schaupp is one of Australia's best ever classical guitar players. I got to spend some time with Karin on the Music Mind podcast, and the topic of Tommy Emmanuel came up. Tommy being the Australian acoustic guitar legend, widely regarded as perhaps the best on his instrument in the history of the instrument. Let's have a listen to Karin recount the advice Tommy gave her when she was just a young performer.
I've met Tommy many times when I was a lot younger and we played together. And I remember when I was quite young, I would have been, I suppose, in my, early 20s. Yes. I remember he said to me, "Just be yourself. They can't resist it." And I will never forget that because it's absolutely true.
Be yourself. They can't resist it. Now, finally, I got to interview John Snell. John is a co-owner of perhaps the world's most respected custom brass mouthpiece manufacturer based in Los Angeles in the USA, Bob Reeves Brass. John is a wonderful trumpet player and he spent decades dealing with the best trumpet players in the world, people from Doc Severinsen to Chris Botti, from classical to jazz and everything in between, trying to help them solve their problems. I asked John what his best piece of advice would be if he could go back and talk to his younger self when he was just starting out in the business. What little advice, tip would you give that young John, just on life in general, not on music, just finding your way through life? What do you think you'd tell young John?
Be yourself.
So there you have it. 3 very strong recommendations for us all to just be ourselves. I want to end this podcast now with a beautiful piece of original music. It's a guitar-based blues that I've called Reflections, and it features me playing the pedal steel guitar. Until next time, remember, bring music into your life and you'll win with music every day.